Yo, YouTube, what up? We're back. Took a week off on a long video last week. It wasn't the best card, but this week we're getting into Anthony Fluffy Hernandez versus Michel Pereira. I can't wait to break this card down. We're going to take our time on the main card and go through the prelims a little bit faster, but I'm excited for this card. The YouTube's hitting at a super high percentage since I started doing this. The worst card we had was 65% on picks. Total, we're hitting about 69-70% since I started putting my picks on YouTube, which is very high. But let's break this down and get into it. Anthony Hernandez versus Michel Pereira, main event. In this one, I'm going with Anthony Fluffy Hernandez to get the job done. Average confidence. He's primarily a grappler. Striking's not great. Super elite grappler, though. This guy has 24 takedowns in his last 4 fights. He's really a grappling ace. For Michel Pereira, he's never fought a true grappler except for Andre Petroski, and he knocked him out in the first round to the body. The same thing could happen here, but I think Anthony Hernandez is a little bit tougher than Andre Petroski. He'll survive a couple shots, and this guy, Fluffy Hernandez, will not give up on the takedown. He's super relentless. It's his game. He will hold you against the cage until you're down, and he will wear out Pereira. I think it's going to be a first or second round finish. You won't even need to wear him out, actually. I think Hernandez is going to tap this guy out pretty quick. Michel Pereira has been steamrolling a lot of his opponents, especially through the first round. Not the highest of competition. His last win was over Ihor Potieria, Michel Ojacek, Andre Petroski. Before that, when he was fighting better competition, like Santiago Ponzinibbio, he was going the distance a lot. Another fight before that, he went the distance. Nico Price, Andre Fialho. Like, everyone's knocked out Andre Fialho. I have no doubt Anthony Hernandez is going to get the job done here. I really like him. The grappling super different. You guys are going to see it this weekend. I know elite grappling when I see it, and this is his world in this fight. It's his fight to lose. On to the next fight. We got Rob Font and Kyler Phillips. Ultimately, in this one, I'm taking Kyler Phillips to get the job done. High confidence. He looks so good in his last couple fights. He has one UFC loss to Halian Paiva. It shouldn't have been a loss. It was a 10-8 in the first round. He had him dropped like 3 times. Phillips blew his gas in the first round. Lost the next 2 rounds. It should have been a draw for sure. The judges gave the fight to Paiva. Besides that, this guy's it's his only loss in the UFC. 8 or 9 other wins. And he's recently been smoking his opponents. He just put a clinic on Pedro Munoz through 3 rounds. Beat the kickboxer at his game. Kyler Phillips is more of a grappler if you've been watching him for a long time. But he really put hands on Pedro Munoz. He's fast. Good defense. Trains with Sean O'Malley. Comes out of the MMA lab. Trains with all the good 35ers there. Court McGee. Clayton Carpenter, the kid who just fought last weekend. I really like Kyler Phillips here. For Rob Font, super tough. I don't know how he doesn't get finished in more of his fights because the way this guy gets battered is insane. He's on a skid. His last loss to Devison Figueiredo. I'm surprised he didn't get knocked out there. His last win was over Adrian Yanez. He did win by knockout. That was a prospect. But 1-4 in his last 5. 37 years old. I know Kyler Phillips is going to win this fight. The odds say it. -400. Easy pick, high confidence, Kyler Phillips. On to the next fight. I really like this one a lot at 125. We got Charles Johnson and Sumudaerji. Charles Johnson really found his groove. This guy's a kickboxing specialist. He's super clean. I think he has the best hands at 125. Way better than the champion, Pantoja. Charles Johnson, his deficiency is grappling. He does get taken down a lot. But Sumudaerji is not a threat there. These guys are both strikers. If anything, Sumudaerji gets taken down a lot. All 6 of his losses come by submission. 14 out of his 16 wins come by finish. Charles Johnson's never been finished. This is falling right in the Charles Johnson ball court. I think he's going to dominate this guy. 30-27 or third round knockout for Charles Johnson. Super high confidence. This guy is slick, fast, puts a different type of pressure on you. Super awkward, really hard to figure out. I'm really high on Charles Johnson. This next one we got, this is going to be a way closer of a fight than some of the ones I just talked about. This is Brady Hiestand versus Jake Hadley. Ultimately, in this one, I'm leaning Jake Hadley to get the job done. He's more technical, way better striker. He has good scrambles. I say he has good scrambles because Brady Hiestand is going to shoot for a lot of takedowns. His striking's horrible. All he does is throw looping shots. He's a really big 135er, a lot of muscle. But he has a recent loss. I believe 3 or 4 fights ago, we fought Ricky Tercios on The Ultimate Fighter. And this is a very similar opponent in Jake Hadley. He's a better Ricky Tercios. The same style fighter, fast with the hands, stays moving the whole fight, very good scrambles. Jake Hadley has his own takedown game, but he won't use it in this fight, especially coming off a win over Kylan Lachlan, where he outstruck him for 3 rounds. I really like Jake Hadley here. I think he's a way better Ricky Tercios. And I think he reinvented himself at 135. The Kylan Lachlan fight was super impressive. He took that fight on short notice and dominated that guy. Brady Hiestand is a finisher. Jake Hadley really doesn't get finished. I think Jake Hadley gets a tough fought decision here. 29-28 as the underdog. I like him a lot here. Let's go Jake Hadley. Little intermission here. Here we go. We got Darren Elkins versus Daniel Pineda. A battle of the old heads. This was a really good match the UFC made. Both these guys are in the same path of career right now. Both coming towards the end. Elkins 28-11. Pineda 28-16. Interesting fact for Pineda, it's not hard to find. This guy's never won by decision. 28 fights. 28 wins, rather. 28 finishes. He's a tough MFer. Recent losses. Nathaniel Wood. Alex Caceres. Most recent win, Tucker Lutz. But who hasn't beat that guy? Tucker Lutz lost his last 3 fights in the UFC, so he's probably not going to be with the promotion anymore. For the damage, Darren Elkins. This guy's a warrior. He won't stop. Great cardio. Last win over TJ Brown. Recent loss over Jonathan Pierce. But this is a clash of the same style fighters, actually. Both these guys are really good wrestlers. I think Pineda's the cleaner striker. Oh, man, this is a hard fight to pick. It's like a pick'em. The damage Elkins is definitely a better wrestler, I think. I don't think this fight's going to go to the floor. I think Daniel Pineda wins this fight. Possibly his first decision win ever. But I got to take the cleaner striker. He's also been fighting higher competition through his last few fights. Really hard fight to pick on the card. Low confidence. Anyone that has 16 losses, I'm not hyping up. Just not saying this guy's a Hall of Fame fighter or anything, but I think he gets the job done here over Damage Elkins. Then we dip into the prelims here. We got Matheus Nicolau versus Asu Almabayev. And in this one, I'm taking Matheus Nicolau to get the job done, actually, believe it or not. He's coming off a couple knockout losses, but this guy's fought the who's who of UFC flyweight division. Recent loss to Alex Perez, Brandon Royval, who is number 1 contender, Alex Perez is also a top contender. Recent win over Matt Schnell, David Dvorak, and Tim Elliott. So he has good wins. The losses are by knockout, which I don't like. This guy's been knocked out 4 times out of his 5 losses. I hate to see that. But his grappling's insane. People don't go for takedowns on this guy because his jiu-jitsu is very good. For Asu Almabayev, He's been kind of impressive since he's come into the UFC. Remember, he was a really big favorite in his last fight against Jose Johnson. He took it all the way to decision. Before that, another fight to the decision with CJ Vergara and a win over Odi Osborne, which he did sub. But Asu Almabayev only has 3 knockout wins in 20 out of 20 wins. I don't believe he'll knock out Nicolau. I believe that's the only way you can beat him. I think Matheus Nicolau is going to win this fight. Experience, UFC experience, high competition experience. Just don't get knocked out. He's going to win this fight. I think he's going to win by submission as well. I really like Matheus Nicolau here to get back on the right track. Good luck. Let's go Brazil. In the next fight, we have Brad Katona versus Gene Matsumoto. And Gene Matsumoto is a really high prospect fighting out of Brazil. This kid's legit. He had a recent win over Dan Argueta. Dan Argueta did just lose this past weekend, but he's a good gatekeeper-ish. If you beat Dan Argueta, you're a good fighter. He's also undefeated at 15-0 with 9 finishes. Not a lot of UFC experience, but he tapped out Argueta in 2 rounds, which was really good to see. He's really good everywhere. He doesn't really have a specialty. He has knockout wins and submission wins. And for Brad Katona, this guy is short, man. He's good, but he's not great. He had his chance on The Ultimate Fighter, got his UFC shot. So he won against Cody Gibson, The Ultimate Fighter, on Fight Night. And then he lost to Garrett Armfield, which is a bad loss. And then just beat Jesse Butler through a decision. But he's really a good grappler with decent striking. He's not going to grapple a guy like Matsumoto here. It's probably going to be a striking match. I think Gene Matsumoto gets the job done easily. 30-27. Respect to Brad Katona. He's tough, but this isn't a good matchup for him. In the next fight, we're going to chop into a few women's fights here. We got Joselyne Edwards versus Tamires Vidal. Ultimately, in this one, I'm taking Joselyne Edwards to get the job done, actually. Her record's not too pretty, 13-6, but she's a very good striker. She usually loses by getting taken down and held down. She's coming off a 2-fight skid here. Don't like that. Before that, 2 split decision wins. She's not winning the fight super clean, but Tamires Vidal is not good. She's super lazy. She has the most basic striking in the world. She has no grappling game. It says she's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as her background. I haven't seen it. This girl's 7-3. I think she's horrible. Very flat-footed, super slow. She's never going to be able to catch Joselyne Edwards. Joselyne is quick, slick, moving around the whole fight. I think she wins a decision here over Tamires Vidal. Tamires Vidal is very green in her career. 7-3 to be in the UFC. 26 years old. 2-fight skid in the UFC. I don't like her here. I really like Joselyne to get the job done. In the next fight, we have Jessica Penne versus Elise Reed. Really hard to pick Jessica Penne at 41 years old. She is fighting Elise Reed, 31 years old. There's a stat between the 10-year age gap. The younger fighter wins about 70% of the time. Although Elise Reed is not impressive, when she gets taken down, she loses. She's flip-flops, win-loss all the time. It's really hard to get a read on her. But she has like a karate-style striking. I actually kind of like it. Low volume. For Jessica Penne, man, this is the end for her. This is probably the retirement fight. If I knew it was her retirement fight, I would pick against her. Her last win was over 3 years ago. I don't like that. I gotta pick Elise Reed here. I don't like it at all. Jessica Penne, I believe, is not going to try to get a takedown. Usually the older fighters stop going for takedowns as they get older because they know it gasses you out. I think she gets pieced up here on the feet through 3 rounds, tries to avoid as much damage as she can, and Elise Reed easily gets the job done. Melissa Martinez versus Elise Ardelean. And I didn't do a super deep dive on this fight. I don't like Elise Ardelean, though. She's 9-6, bad record. Lost her UFC debut against the Irish girl, Shannon Bannon or something like that. She didn't win a second of the fight. For Melissa Martinez, 7-1, fighting out of Mexico. She lost her UFC debut to Elise Reed, which isn't good either. But she's the younger fighter. Hope she makes some more adjustments during this last training camp through her loss. I'm leaning Melissa Martinez here, -130 favorite. I really don't have a lot to back this one up. But for the curtain jerker of the night, the first fight of the night, we got Austen Lane versus Robelis Despaigne. And in this one, I'm taking Robelis Despaigne, first round knockout. Robelis Despaigne knocked a few guys out within a few seconds of each fight. Came into the UFC, knocked Josh Parisian out 18 seconds. Then he fought Waldo Cortez Acosta and took his first slice of humble pie. He got out grappled, man. He got put on his back the whole fight. He didn't really know what to do. But Waldo Cortez had a good gas tank. He stayed composed, used his experience, and won the fight. Gotta respect him, man. He's fighting a dangerous guy in Spain. This guy puts everyone out. First round, all the time. 5 knockouts, all in the first round. And for Austen Lane, this is going to be taking out the trash for Dana White. Austen Lane, see you later. Goodbye. All respect, but Austen Lane fought Jonta Deniz in his last fight and had a takedown in the first round. Won the first round, completely gassed out. As soon as the second round started, Deniz put it on him, knocked him out. Before that, he got knocked out by Tafa. He actually doesn't have a UFC win, Austen Lane. He has a Contender Series knockout, but his gas tank's really bad. His takedowns aren't great. Ex-football player, but he goes for football tackles. He's not a good grappler. He doesn't have good single legs or double legs. If he can't just powerhouse you to the ground, it's not getting there. Super chinny, 12-5, all knockout losses. Despaigne gets him here, takes out the trash easy for Dana White. And that's going to conclude your fight night of Anthony Hernandez versus Michel Pereira. Hope everyone enjoyed this video. The picks are on fire. 70% is a high rate to pick fights at. Hope you all enjoyed this. Drop a comment, like, share with a friend. Anything helps. I appreciate it. Hope you guys appreciate me. And I'm going to keep dropping my short videos, but drop a comment. Let's talk, disagree, agree, conversate about upcoming fights, anything like that. Until next time.